Yeah. So in terms of that, like this is again, I love this question so much because back to what Ricardo was saying around the importance of repurposing that content. Here's the thing, right? Like promoting the content is not just marketing's job. It should be something that's the organization's job. Marketing may just be responsible for the management of, the project management of creating that content, but ultimately every person in sales, every person in marketing, every person in customer success, anyone who's client facing should actually use that content to drive discussions. Now you might be wondering, okay, but they were not in the videos, so what's the motivation for them? I'll tell you what the motivation for them is. The motivation for them is career growth, because they can actually use that content as a way to build their own very own unique personal brands on LinkedIn and other platforms by simply taking the content that you guys as marketing are producing and perhaps just putting their own original signature on it by maybe captioning it or using it as a way to start conversations with prospects or to really build their knowledge in that space. We've seen a lot of companies do that. And even though the content starts with marketing, it really ends up getting distributed by everyone else in the company so that they can encourage discussion around these episodes. Ricardo, what would you say to that?
No, I would say that it's just about like using cool things that, like, adding particular call to actions or linking specifically after the end of your webinar. You, depending on where you're hosting that video, if you're hosting that video on YouTube, then you have the overview at the bottom where you can do things. Then it's just about making sure that a video, it's not just a video, it's just a piece of marketing. There's now funky tool where you can create calls to action, where you can create forms, where you can kind of then show other stuff that will be relevant. And even not even technology, you need to make sure that, like, on that video itself, you're pushing people to take the next desired action. So, which, by the way, brings me to the point. The next desired action that we want from all of you that are now attending this session or that are looking at this video is that, number one, if you want us to have a look from Brightball's point of view, if you want us to have a look at the content that you have, the repository that you have, and get some ideas on how we can just make it, how you can slice it and dice it, feel free to schedule a call with us, and then we'll be very happy. I mean, I'll be very happy to spend time with you, kind of brainstorming some ideas on that. If you are looking at perhaps how to turn a boring webinar into a series of episodes, then we'll be very happy to do with that, with all the aspects on repurposing content and how to do. Let's say right now you've produced your virtual event and you are sitting on 25 different 1 hour sessions, half an hour sessions on video. Then you need to speak to Karim, because Karim's company, Tribe Tactics, does absolutely that. It's about how can you give them that video and how they will basically turn that into the framework that we've just discussed, into split it and then slice it and dice it. I was running a poll on LinkedIn where many of the people that answered this question were saying, it's just that we're too busy. We just don't really have the time, because we're now thinking about, guess what? Next week's episode. And this is kind of where it's important to work either with a partner or have the resources internally or the tools internally that would allow you to do that.